It's now about 4 months until the Warhammer Plus resub time, and we're still only getting 2 shows a week. I'm getting quite concerned that this much vaunted increase in content is not going to happen in time to appease some pretty annoyed viewers. I do believe it's coming because there have been several appointments to the various teams within Warhammer Plus announced on Twitter, so they're definitely doing something behind the scenes, but I don't know if it'll come in time to convince long-term subscribers that another year would be worth it. With the deadline very much in sight and no improvement yet, a more cynical man would say that any improvement now would just be to encourage people to sub for another year. I hope that's not the case though. I want to feel that it's a good thing to spend money on. I don't want to feel like I've been the victim of some sleazy marketing tactics. So what we get this week is a battle report and the brand new animation Interrogator. We also get all the usual Warhammer Vault stuff. So let's get on with the reviews. If you've chosen a Yandon for your Eldercraft world, you're in for a treat this week with the Yandon Codex supplement. Games Workshop, for a time, went down the route of making these little supplements for factions within whole armies, but we all know where that would go. There would be tons and tons of books. I mean, there's enough books at the moment, but there would be even more, so they kind of abandoned that strategy. I think quite rightly. This book, as I'm sure you can imagine, is full of lore, pictures, colour schemes, all that kind of stuff. No rules, of course, because that's how Games Workshop are doing it. They cut the rules out and just give you the lore in these books. There's also a throwback picture to the teensy little avatar, which I ran a poll for, and 1 person out of 66 people thought that the Finecast one is better than the new one that we got. Each to their own. The Wraith Nights are the highlight of this book for me. They look absolutely amazing in their yellow colour scheme. That would be a reason why I wouldn't paint a Yandon, because I'm useless at painting yellow, and this would just be an absolute nightmare. If you're a masochist, this book might be for you. The White Dwarves are from August and September 2010, and the big release was Island of Blood, which is the Warhammer Fantasy Battle starter set from back then, and that brings back a lot of memories, a lot of good memories. I really can't wait for all this old world stuff to kick in. The other things that were released were lots of demons. Not really my bag. It's funny to see metal demons released only, 12 years ago? It's not that long. And there's Kairos Fateweaver released as well, and I think we've had another model of him, like a fully realised big plastic one, like a proper model. So it's quite interesting that those were released fairly close together. The battle report is a bit of a different one this week. It's Necromunda Ash Wastes, so it's kind of an early look at the game, and it's between the Ash Wastes Nomads and the Orlocks. I think I'm right saying this is the first Necromunda battle report other than the Learn to Play ones that we got on launch day, so that's quite good. I'm really happy that we got to see the Ash Wastes stuff in action. I'm a bit sad we didn't get to see the land train going, but I'm sure we'll get that in another battle report. This is actually a really nice point of differentiation between the general non-paying public and the people that pay for Warhammer Plus. Yes, the non-paying public got to see the models and everything, but I feel this is more of a peek behind the curtain before everyone else gets to see it. So we got to see all the models, we got to see a lot of their abilities, and we got to see how they worked on the battlefield. It was really cool. I feel this is a really good strategy, and it does feel like it's adding a bit of value to my subscription. The models all look great, as you would expect, although I'm not totally sold on the Flea Rider guys. The Outrider Quads are really cool. They look very squat-like as well as the land train, so that's quite interesting. I wonder if those two will kind of overlap, but the Flea Riders just don't do it for me. The terrain looked amazing, but it looked a bit sparse because they only used stuff from the starter set, so I'm sure when people get their hands on this we'll see some absolutely incredible setups. Seeing this battle report made my mind up. I'm going to get Ash Wastes. I know Games Workshop advertising strikes again. I'm actually paying to be advertised at, and my response to that is I'm going to chuck more money at them. Who cares? It's a hobby. This is the kind of stuff I enjoy, so I'm going to go for it. On to the game itself, and the mechanics were really interesting. The mission was to loot some fuel caches around the board, and on a 4, 5 or 6 there was fuel found if you were standing right next to it. On a 2 or a 3 there was no fuel found and the marker was removed, so you can't loot that again. And on a 1 it explodes. I won't tell you if any of them explode, I'll leave that to you to find out. Ash clouds were also a factor, and if they rolled in it could hamper your long range shooting, so that's also another thing you have to take into account tactically. If you've taken an army that is only long range shooting, you could be put at a major disadvantage. The Outrider Quad has a harpoon launcher on it, and in one phase of play, one of the Ash Wastes Nomads got pierced through the chest with a harpoon. He got a serious injury, and then he was dragged forward by when the harpoon started to wind in. One really cool thing is that the quads are able to reverse over bugs and then drive over them again. Now that's the kind of thing I love to see in these games. Those are the moments you'll be talking about for ages with your friends, especially if it turns the game. There was a ton of strategy at play. One of them was the Nomad leader used a group activation, and he used both his actions. He couldn't do anything else, but 3 guys nearby could shoot without using an action, I believe. So they managed to pummel a big group of Orlocks down in the ground, and it worked really well. For me, this was actually one of my favourite battle reports yet. It was fast paced, it looked like they were really having fun, and we got to see a new game to boot. I mean, what's not to like? I would love to see a fully fleshed out board to see what can be done, so hopefully they'll do another battle report very soon. We got an episode of Interrogator at long last. It's called Always More Blood, and it was 14 minutes long. I'll read the synopsis out to you. A former Imperial agent is haunted by his past, and an addiction to the drugs that suppress those dark memories. Things go from bad to worse when the dealer turns up at the door of his hab in search for payment. Get a street-level view of life in the 41st millennium in this mature noir animation. From what I can gather, he's an interrogator, which is kind of like the Inquisitor's assistant. His Inquisitor was a female called Belina, and I think she died. I'm not too sure on that. You see her falling, but you don't actually see her die, so you know the rule. No one's dead if they don't die on camera. This was brutal. This is definitely an adult animation. There was a lot of swearing. There were some moments that were like, whoa, that was some serious violence. So don't watch it around your kids, trust me. Now, what did I think of this? Well, I loved it. I thought it was amazing. I thought the story was really good. The characters were really good. I worried that the voice acting would be a wee bit cringy, but it actually worked perfectly. The story was all set within one room, and I was gripped for the full 14 minutes. I thought it was excellent, in fact. The animation didn't really bother me. I know a lot of people will be put off by the animation, but I just felt that the story carried it through perfectly. That's only episode 1. It's a really good start. There were interesting characters. There was talk of like a big villain that I'm sure he'll tangle up with eventually, but it was a great start for me. It does look like Black and White Hammer and Bolter, and there were some times where I thought my internet was buffering because there was a still on screen for 5 or 6 seconds, but it didn't really bother me. It didn't ruin my enjoyment of the show. Let me know what you thought about it. I'd really like to hear your thoughts on Interrogator and the battle report, especially if you're a Necromunda fan on that last one. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to appease the almighty algorithm, as people say in the comments. Once again, thanks for watching, happy hobbying, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.